India being gifted a seat in the Security Council is the most ridiculous myth. The Security Council was made up of the victors of WW2, and India was nowhere in the scene of demanding, let alone being gifted a seat at the table. If they could just give away a Supreme Court seat, Security Council seat, why can't they gift it to India now when we are a strong country? And so on and so on and so on and so on. And Mr. Nehru was very smart, and he saw the bluff that the US was dangling a carrot, and so on and so forth. So so that's not a question, it's a claim. And this gentleman or person is saying that I am wrong, that the offer I have said that there was an offer there were multiple offers to India of a seat in the UN Security Council, and this person is saying it's a complete myth, and I'm completely mistaken. And Mr. Nehru was a great visionary and smart and all that. All right, fine, okay, if you say so. So what's the evidence that I have? Is there any evidence? Well, let's look at the evidence. Is there any evidence? You don't believe me? It's fine. I get it. I get it. You don't believe me. But what about this fine gentleman here? Uh, this is an article from the Hindu, January 10, 2004. It says Nehru declined offer of permanent UN seat. Okay. And read who says this. Jawaharlal Nehru declined the United States offer to India to take the permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council around 1953 and suggested that it be given to China, according to the then United Nations Under Secretary General Shri Shashi Tharoor ji. And that's what Mr. Tharoor has written in his latest book of that time, Nehru, the Invention of India. Yeah. So if you don't believe me, do you believe the magnificent Shri Shashi Tharoor ji or not? Do you? Do you not? And let's examine this case further. Yeah. So there is this publication, very prominent and famous publication called the Wilson Center. Yes, the Wilson Center. And this is an article from a few years ago. Not at the coast of China. India and the UN Security Council, 1950, right? So it's about new evidence regarding US proposals to Nehru for joining the United Nations Security Council, and so on. So there was an offer in 1955. So Mr. Tharoor has revealed, like I showed, that there was an offer by the US, by the United States, to Mr. Nehru in 1953. Now there was an offer in 1955 also, which was a Soviet offer. And someone called Nurani wrote a defense of Nehru's decision, and he tried to say that this was just a feeler to test India and so on. But there was an offer in 1955, all right, by the Soviet Union, the USSR. So Mr. Nehru said that the status of the People's Republic of China in the UN should take priority before any consideration be given to the necessary revision of the UN Charter for the admittance of any new permanent members. So he said that even though you're offering it to India, the priority should be first given to China. Then there was also an offer in 1950 from the United States. So 1950 US, 1953 US, 1955 USSR. 3 offers. Yes. And Mr. Nehru said that India, because of many factors, is certainly entitled to a permanent seat in the Security Council. But we are not going in at the cost of China. Yeah. India's ambassador in Beijing optimistically briefed Zhou Enlai that they believed in the UK and Egypt would support the PRC's assumption of China's Security Council seat, giving it majority support. So they were lobbying to ensure that China gets this thing. Yeah. That's the kind of thing. Nehru's determined rejection of the US plan to place India in China's seat in the UN Security Council reflected the particular reverence and centrality placed on the UN by what one might call a Nehruvian foreign policy. That Nehru made so adamantly clear that India did not want to replace China in the UN Security Council, and furthermore, that the issue of China's representation in the UN must take a priority over any possible consideration of India gaining a permanent seat in the body, underlies the centrality of China to Nehru's foreign policy. Okay, and that's what it was. So this Nehru's response to the US offer underlined Indian agency in its difficult relations with the US. So Mr. Nehru made things very difficult for India by doing all these things. The United States wanted to offer that permanent seat in the UN Security Council to India, and Mr. Nehru repeatedly rebuffed this offer. And he said that priority should be first given to China. Only then should we talk about India. Whom was Mr. Nehru serving? Was he supposed to serve the people of India, the country, the nation of India, or was he supposed to serve the people of China? Yeah, whom was he supposed to serve? That's the question. So he repeatedly rejected these offers, not just from the United States, but also from the USSR. And here's something interesting. And then we know that then there's also this offer that the US made during President Kennedy's time of offering nuclear weapons technology to India. And Mr. Nehru rejected that as well. This is before 1962, when India and China went to war, when China invaded India. Had India acquired nuclear weapons technology at that time, China would have not dared to invade India in 1962. So Mr. Nehru ensured that this doesn't happen. Now, there's one more interesting piece of evidence. This is after 1962. This is a news clipping from 1963. Please take a look at this. A news clipping from 1963. India still supports bid of China for United Nations seat. The sister of Prime Minister Nehru said on Friday that India is ready to support China's admission to the United Nations, even though her country fears a new attack by Chinese troops. It's a matter of principle. It has nothing to do with relations between any country and the government of China. Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, the sister of Mr. Nehruji, said at a news conference in New York. Yeah. I don't see how there can be a world organization from which 1/5 of the world's people is excluded. So once again, even after the Chinese war on India, Mr. Nehru and his sister were pushing for China's inclusion in the United Nations Security Council at the cost of India, at the expense of India. So this is the kind of foreign policy India had. So these claims that Mr. Nehru was smart enough to see something or whatever, and this offer is a myth. Come on, who are you? What world are you living in? Whoever this gentleman or person is, this is an established fact. Multiple people, very high-ranking people, have written about this. Mr. Tharoor has written about this. The former president, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, also wrote about this in his book. Please go and read his book. And also about the Nepal affair. I mean, everything will come out once we start talking about these things. All right. So that's where we are. We cannot deny the fact that Mr. Nehru was a magnificent, multi-talented, great human being, Shri Nehruji. But facts are facts, and facts don't care about anyone's feelings. So there we are. All right.